Hello, Cancer friends. I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my Cancer August 2025 Astrology Horoscope Forecast. We've got a very big month as we're leading into eclipse season. Every 6 months, we have sets of eclipses that tend to change trajectories and bring things that are deeply rooted in the unconscious space out for us to deal with. It can be a time of great success and excitement, and it can be a time of stress and drama. But whatever it brings, we are back in it now because 4 to 6, sometimes more weeks before the actual eclipses is when the season starts, and that places us here in August. So, September 7th, lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces. September 21st, solar eclipse, which is a black moon eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo. September is the hottest month for this, but August is like a boiling pot that is getting more and more bubbly every day, rich with manifestation. So we're going to talk about that, what to expect. We're going to talk about how those eclipses and how other placements in your chart can bring sudden realizations that change everything for you. This is for you if Cancer is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Cancer placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. I'm very late degree Cancer friends, so birthday is like July 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree placements through the rest of the sign. I suggest you additionally listen to my Leo report, as your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. So we're going to start off with some softer, more superficial yet powerful and notable energies that are at play here, and we'll go straight to the planets that are moving through Cancer. Venus is spending most of the month moving through your sign, which means that in this chart, it's also moving through the first house. And when Venus moves through this place, you're often more magnetic. You may look better in photographs. You may be more persuasive when you ask for things. You may feel like you're magnetizing more Cancerian magic, emotional connections, heartfelt communication, wonderful experiences that are memorable, that, really just light your heart up with joy. And add to this that we will have one of my favorite aspects, period, which is Venus making a conjunction with Jupiter this month. And that's actually going to be in the days around August 11th and 12th. Venus, the bringer of love, beauty, money, aesthetics, is making this conjunction with Jupiter, the great expander. This is an amazing time for money, for love, for appearance, for, something sweet and comforting and nurturing. So those days around the 11th and 12th may light up with this Jupiterian magic. Also, August 11th is the day that Mercury goes direct. It could be a little bit chaotic. And also very much with that retrograde energy still in effect, and the earthworm, us going back over things as our little animal totem of the retrograde. Something from the past may come back in and bring great joy. All right. So all of that is happening this month, moving through the sign of Cancer, exhilarating your physical body and helping you to become more in tune with the language that your body speaks through symptoms. All right. So it's a very body-centric time period for Cancer. Now, the predominance of, and by the way, that Jupiter energy is going to be there all year, right? Because Jupiter's just moved into Cancer, and it's going to, from June of 2025 to June of 2026, you're going to be experiencing Jupiter in your sign, maybe making a little trouble where things needed to be brought out onto the surface, maybe just bringing blessings and luck and benevolence, but that's a long-term story. Now, the biggest story that's the more kind of just in this period of time has to do with the Leo energies, right? After Venus is finished with Cancer, it will move into Leo, join the Mercury retrograde, and then direct on the 11th Leo party where the sun is already there. And this is going to bring a lot of fire, which, as I always like to do, is put our little pot on the flame here. And when Cancer is around fire energy, or any of the fire energies are present, it's like it's a watery, your pot's coming to a boil, for better or worse. Something could make you mad and you have to act on it. Something can make you excited. But this pot story has a double story this month because I also use this analogy to talk about how eclipses heat up in eclipse season. So either way, you've got two storylines of this bubbling pot, and you'll really feel that this month of your emotions coming to a boil, for better or worse. Leo energies can bring ego conflicts, can bring power struggles, but the higher version of them can bring inspiration, excitement, creativity, and all of this is centered around your financial world. So you may be set for a nice financial boost. You may have the sun elucidate something that has to be rectified in your financial world. And then Mercury can help you to have the proper communication to start to resolve it. And Venus there following up can then bring a financial boost from the things that you've discovered. A few days into August, Mars is going to change signs, go into Libra, and that is going to cross over this magical line, which affects your work and home, your place out in the world and your place, in your inner world. And Mars is like a little rowdy border collie that brings obsession wherever it goes. So you may find yourself starting to really focus on your home space, on, what your environment is like, sprucing things up, and improving the aesthetics in that place. There may also be things you need to deal with your housing or your family, and Mars can help give you the energy to do that. There is a very big cluster of star goddess energy in Scorpio, Vesta, Lilith, Juno, talking about partnerships, talking about your sacred flame, talking about clearing out repressed energy in your house of creativity. Okay, and also through the sign of Scorpio, which is deep relationships. So you may have some repair or recalibration to do in your relationship space, and you may be able to get support from people for your creative expression. This also can have something to do with children or child rearing or something like that as well. Okay, so if you've been listening to my reports for a while, then you know that I have been talking about how the changes in the outer planet configurations, Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries, both conjunct. This is, a major time. This is unusual that an outer planet changes signs, and for them to do it around the same time and to be hanging out together for a long period of time is very notable. And this is specifically relevant for Cancers because this is actually happening at your 10th house cusp. Now, if you can see this, I'm going to erase some of this so you can see. Friends who are on the podcast, if you want the visual, at least of the chart, and you go to Annie Botticelli, Astro Kisses Buzzsprout site, I do have the chart there. I don't think it syncs over to Spotify, and most of podcast friends are listening on Spotify. So if you want to see the visual on that, you can go there. But basically, these lines, see how this line is darker than, say, this line or this line, and this line is darker, and this line is darker, and this line is darker. Okay, these are the first, 4th, 7th, and 10th house cusps of the chart. And these are crossroads energies. So whenever we have, especially outer planets that take a long time to move, cross over those points, it puts you in a crossroads time. And this is a whole house change, a whole house chart change. But even in the Placidus charts, even if you're later in a later degree of Cancer, you will still get activation of this sector from that whole house change, okay? You'll get more activation when it actually crosses over into your Placidus 10th house. But this is still something that is current. So your work, your career, your place out in the world, your parents, your place as a parent or an authority figure is undergoing a massive long-term revolution. Neptune is making you spiritualize your outlook on your output. Saturn is there to test everything that you've put in place and see if it can hold up for the future. And if not, it's building new scaffolding, a new skeleton for your workspace, for your employment, for how you show up out in the world, whether it's for money or not. Okay? So this is, a double test of what's going on here. And it's a really big deal, and it's long term. Shorter term, Ceres is there, and Ceres has to do with many different things. She's a star goddess. But she talks about the harvest. Okay, so this symbol that she has, that's a scythe, and that's like what you cut the wheat with. So this is a time of harvest in your work. And you may find things from the past that you did or connections from the past because of this Mercury retrograde, especially in the first half to first, 2/3 of the month. You may have stuff from the past that you're ready to harvest, and you're planting the seeds for your next harvest. So all of that's happening. Okay, so now in my title for the month for you, I talked about a sudden realization changing everything. And this has to do with the eclipses, which we'll get to, and also with the planet Uranus. Uranus has to do with sudden energies, things that come out of the blue, and Uranus has just changed signs as of July. And it's moved into your 12th house of the unconscious mind. This is making your super genius, your contact with the all that is, with the cosmic consciousness, with everything you've ever known, with ancestral wisdom, with spiritual connections, supercharged for an extended period of time, like 7 or 8 years. Okay, but we're beginning something now. And you may start to have a new understanding of how the unseen world is more real than the seen world. We've become very reliant on what we can see and sense with our 5 senses. But I know many of you, many Cancers especially, are empaths. You're sensitives. You can feel things deeper. You can feel things that are not coming from your normal senses. And that process of awakening of those senses, those extrasensory perceptions, are undergoing a massive, massive change and a massive up level. And Uranus in this space is going to be giving you those awakenings. Now, it may come with more insomnia. It may come with more weird dreams. It may come with feeling like your finger's stuck in an electric socket for an extended period of time. So you may want to look into ways to soothe your nerves, ways to help you stay calm. But from the positive perspective, these sudden realizations are going to become more normal. You may want to keep a journal for this process, because something about Uranus energy is that it's sudden and fleeting. It comes out of nowhere, and you may have this major awareness and you think there's no way that you'll forget it. You may forget it because it pops in, it pops out. That's the unstable nature of this transit. So having a journal to go back to insights that you've had, write dates, write information. I know a lot of people with Cancer energy who are journalers. This is a really great way to work with the emotional levels of experience that many Cancers have supercharged. So this journal may lead you to insights. It may lead you to discoveries where you can look back and realize, oh my gosh, your intuition is awakening in amazing ways, and your relationship with your intuition is expanding. So it's really, really exciting. And you may have this sudden insight this month that actually can change everything, because once you have a perceptual shift, it changes how things are. Okay, and this is also, when we look at quantum physics, this is shown that the observer can have an effect on what's being observed. When you have a perceptual change, you can actually shift reality. And on the topic of shifting reality, I want to bring a little bit more physics into this. I have a very strong background in science. I have a very strong background in spiritual work, and I love to combine the two to help show the how helpful it is to be able to blend these worlds, okay? So I usually do kind of light science. I'm going to go a little bit deeper this month because I went to the Cincinnati Museum a few days ago of Science and Natural History. Beautiful museum. I love Cincinnati. It's such a beautiful city. So actually one of my new favorite cities, having gone to most of the major cities in the country. It's just a wonderful place. But in any case, of the places that I saw. So what I saw there was this really cool exhibit. Okay, here's me at the exhibit. And it was talking about Einstein's theory of general relativity, which basically says that time and space bend around objects of mass. Okay? And that the greater the mass, the more time and space bends. Now, just that statement alone, you can ponder it. Oh, and believe me, I have. But it just struck me this time that I really wanted to talk about this in relation to something that I discuss a lot having to do with the eclipses. So the eclipses, the Virgo Pisces eclipse cycle started at the end of 2024. It's going until 2027. Every 4 to 6 months, it reawakens, bringing more news along a continuum and bringing cyclical experiences of storylines that are getting wound up and elevated to different experiences. And we have it happening again. So those 2 eclipses that are happening And these are nice angles for Cancer too, by the way. Both of these are, which is nice because the previous set were not nice, and you were feeling that for sure. So this set of eclipses is awakening now, 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes more, before the actual eclipse. There's an orb that the sun moves into that starts to get this gravitational alignment going. It's like a gravitational merging party. And when the sun gets to a certain point, the fields start to merge. Okay, so if you imagine the sun, the moon, and the earth having their own gravitational field, time and space is bending around each of these. We think of gravity as up and down. It's not. It's not up and down. It's around the body, the mass. So this exhibit showed how when a person gets involved in this energy flow, that time and space bends around them. It's a cool floor exhibit that you stand on, and then you see how the energies, for you being the thing of mass, starts moving around it. And that's what got me thinking about this. So I thought it would be really relevant here talking about the eclipses. Okay, so all of these heavenly bodies have their own gravitational field. And when they combine, they actually merge their fields, which makes them items of greater mass collectively, which bends time and space more around that field, which is the physics reason, the scientific reason behind what I always tell you, how you can burn up a massive amount of karma in a short amount of time and do timeline leaps, especially at eclipse time, because the mass bends time and space. And we think of time as linear, and there is a dimension of that that's true in our multidimensional experience, but time is circular, time is warped, time is, not what we always think, and time actually changes with the lineups of, planets or heavenly bodies so close together like this at eclipse time. So the ways that you can radically change your life, or that life may be changed without you doing something, or things that you did in the past may be finally coming through now with a crazy quickness, are just really, really surprising. And this can go hand in hand with this sudden insight that could change everything. So there could be something that happens. There could be something you realize. There could be both. But all of that is supercharged at this time, right? So it's a very, very, very big time. I could go more into that, but I want to just touch on a couple of other dates. August 9th, full moon at 17 degrees of Aquarius. It's going to elucidate, bring fullness, fruition, completion, drama, things from the hidden scenes into your 8th house of Scorpio. This is a quiet, under the surface, very deep, emotional, house. And it talks about the things that are unseen. I mean, things that we don't know what the heck they are, really. The stock market, crypto, some of the legalities of, different financial arrangements that nobody really understands, but yet they are. All of that is in the 8th house. And that's where this elucidation is going to happen for you. So you may have a sudden awareness about a relationship, about a financial relationship, about money, about life, about psychology, about spirituality. So look for that type of insight in the days around August 9th, or maybe just some family drama or money drama. That could also happen too. In the days around August 22nd or 23rd, we've got a new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo. This is very significant because this 0 degree new moon means that the next new moon is going to be at 29 degrees, which means that that's going to be a black moon, and that happens to be the eclipse. So September 29th, that eclipse I told you about, the 29 degree Virgo eclipse, is going to be a black moon eclipse, and the seeds for this are starting in this new moon in August. All right, so there's something building here, and it's going to have to do with everything Virgo, which is health and wellness in your systems, but it's also going to have to do with your 3rd house, which is your house of communication, and many of your relatives are in there, and your devices, and how you interact with others, and your mobility. So there's something that you're planting seeds for in that arena, or seeds are being planted for you by the universe, unbeknownst to you, that will, continue to manifest. All right, so I could go into more, but you can see it's a month that's very rich. We do have more sweet aspects compared to salty ones this month, just by a hair, but still, and most of them are in the second half of the month. So as we clear out of the Mercury retrograde confusion, in the days around August 26th, the Mercury shadow period will pass, and we're opening into our last open period free from personal planet retrogrades for the whole year. Better for making decisions and doing big things and taking action on the eclipse news that's coming in. And so that second half of the month also has a lot of the sweet aspects, which is perfect timing because you can start to do more with the information that's coming in. But if you like how I teach and you want to learn, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. It's my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course. I have a system that I've created. I'm a lifelong language learner, a polyglot, and I see astrology as a language. And if you want to be fluent in astrology and use it to help yourself and others, and even to earn money, I can show you how to do that. beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you want to understand how Uranus and Gemini, Jupiter moving into Cancer, Pluto going into Aquarius, Saturn and Neptune going into Aries may affect your personal chart, go to anniebclarity.com, Annie the letter B, clarity.com, and get my outer planet transit reports. That's personalized. If you want more of the sweet and salty dates, my favorite dates, the ones to be most awareful and careful of, the eclipse resource page, retrograde resource page, zodiac health tips, 28-day virtual coaching program, go to anniehelpsyou.com. Put your name and email address in there. In the welcome letter, you'll get all the goodies, including an archive link where you can put August 2025 in there to get the newsletter that has the sweet and salty dates. They're about halfway down, and the whole second half of the newsletter is dedicated to expanding upon the sweet and salty dates that are most notable. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.